Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Megan.
And I'm Sierra. For this week's
Vegas.
video, for this week's video, Megan and I are going to be doing another reading video, and this one is going to be, this video stops when we both read a 5-star read.
Which I'm kind of like, who knows how long this video is going to go for? Because I feel like I give out my 5 stars few and far between.
Yeah, kind of sparingly.
So hopefully, we got some good books coming up.
So we each have our first book picked out. I am going to be reading A Court of Frost and Starlight. It is a novella kind of book in the ACOTAR series, and so I just finished.
We don't want to start like the first book. We don't want to be a 5-star read.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to be. I already read that.
And then this one I have already read. I give it some 4 stars. It is the one that Megan's going to read,
Which is Mrs. Nash's Ashes
by Sarah.
It's just
Adler.
a nice romance. I've been reading a lot of fantasy books. I just finished a fantasy book, so this will be nice to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit.
Do something a little
and
contemporary.
and then we'll move on from there. I apologize for not doing a more frequent check-in because I did not verbalize any thoughts on this book, and I finished it yesterday. So I read Mrs. Nash's Ashes. So the premise of the book is essentially about Millicent and Hollis, and they're both trying to go to Florida for different reasons, and they were on the flight together, but like separately. And the flight gets canceled, and so they decide to road trip down together. Millicent is trying to like fulfill her old roommate, Mrs. Nash. There's no good way to explain this book concisely. She was like a caretaker slash roommate for this very old woman, and she ended up dying, and so now she has ashes that she's going to take to Key West to like reunite them with Mrs. Nash's former lover. And she just like really believes in true love, and then Hollis is kind of like a very pessimistic person, does not believe in true love, and they develop feelings for each other on a said road trip. Sierra already read this before me, and she enjoyed it, and so I felt like I was going to also enjoy this book. I feel like I kind of enjoyed it more than I was expecting. I feel like with the premise, I was just like, I'm not sure, but I feel like it came together oddly well. No, but there was a part where I was kind of shocked, honestly, by. I literally almost started crying.
Oh,
It's so unexpectedly. Like, I was like, this isn't like a part I'd cry at. That all being said, this was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. And so we need to decide what book I'm going to do next. So my next book that I want to do...
You could do Iron Flame. That's a long one.
No. I need it to be, like, not that long. I want to do a fantasy book. I had, like, 2 or 3 contenders. Six of Crows was also one where I was like, maybe 465 pages. That's not bad. I think I will try reading Six of Crows next. I started reading Six of Crows last night when I was going to bed, and I got like 50 pages in. I can tell that this is going to be, I'm going in completely blind, like I didn't even bother rereading the summary of the book on Goodreads. I can definitely tell there's going to be a lot more characters to keep track of, and there's like different like gangs that I have to like remember the names of, and then who's in what gang. And I only finished the first 2 chapters so far. They're kind of longer chapters, which isn't always my favorite. But like the first chapter was like kind of one storyline with one group of people, and then the second chapter was like a whole completely new set of people in like a different situation. So far, like I'm enjoying it, but I'm curious to see where this is gonna go, like what the main conflict is gonna be, and how all these different characters come together. So I wanted to give you guys my first impressions so far of Six of Crows, which I started reading a couple days ago. I'm just getting ready to do a little bit more reading. I'm about 80 pages into the book, and I know that initially when I added it to my TBR, I had read the summary, so like I knew that it sounded good enough for me to enjoy and read, but I didn't reread what it was about prior to starting the book, just to like go in as blind as possible. Right now, there's still a lot of world building and figuring out who's who and introducing different characters. We're kind of getting introduced to like the big, like what's going to be happening during this book. I'm pretty sure I would have only added this if there's a romantic component, but I'm like, I don't know who it's going to be between yet, because I feel like I only know like a male main character. So perhaps somewhere along the journey, a female main character will enter. But yeah, I'm excited to keep reading. So far so good. And this book is like it's less than 500 pages, so it's like not super long, but I'd like to finish it by Friday this week, but I've got like to read more than 70 pages a day to do that, so we'll see. I am doing some more reading of Six of Crows. I am 57% of the way through. I feel like right now, while I'm enjoying the book, and it's kind of right now feeling like a 4-star book to me, I feel like being more than halfway through the book now, I kind of have been expecting like more to have taken place or to feel more invested in the characters. And I'm kind of wondering if there's like too many characters that we're focusing on in too short of a time frame, because like there's different chapters with like different characters' point of view. And not that it's confusing, but I just don't know if I'm like getting sucked into the book. Like it's not feeling like a 5-star read. I do think I know like the love interest will it come to fruition in this book. I don't know. But this is a series, so I don't know if that's not like, I don't know if they get together in this book or not. I just finished reading Six of Crows, and I'm holding firm with 4 stars. I did add the second one to my TBR already, so I do think eventually I will continue the series. And from what I can tell, it's a duology right now, although there was like an untitled book to maybe imply there's going to be a third one on Goodreads. I know I talked earlier about how my plan was going to be to read A Winter in Paradise, because Sierra and I are trying to read that before we go on vacation with Maggie. However, I think that given the video, and given that like I don't feel like it's going to be a 5-star read, like I'm at the point now where I'm like 2 books in, and now I need to like be picking books that I'm like, this is going to be a 5-star read, in the hopes that I actually get a 5-star book. So I'm going to skip A Winter in Paradise for now, and I'm going to try reading The Ballad of Never After, which is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So that'll be my next book. I'm excited to read, and I'll probably start reading that like later tonight when I'm going to bed, because I feel like I am all read out for now.
Okay, so I just finished my first book for this video, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I was not expecting it to be a 5-star read, but I also didn't want to like kick the video off with one that I thought might be a strong contender. It was good. I mean, if you've read ACOTAR, then like, you honestly probably already read this, but it was just like a nice little like glimpse into the main characters' lives. It was pretty low stakes, but honestly like the stakes are what make me enjoy reading ACOTAR, and so I was just kind of like, what else, you know? So 3.5 stars, still fun, but I don't think it was like necessary. I am now on my Kindle going to be reading Winter in Paradise by Elin Hilderbrand. This is my first Elin Hilderbrand book. I think Haley and Maggie have both read books by her and have enjoyed them. This one, Maggie and I are both reading because Maggie had the idea to read the sequel while we're on our trip together in St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands, which I guess these books take place in. And so I'm getting caught up on the first book. I did not know, and I feel like Maggie should have like, you know, said, oh, like there's like some connections to Iowa. Like the beginning of the book starts off with them being in Iowa City, which is where I went to school at, and like literally is mentioning like places that I've like seen or been to, like it literally mentions the street that I lived on. So it's weird. Oh, I see that it mentions the Iowa Writers Workshop. I was wondering if Elin, maybe.
I think it's Ellen.
Elin or Ellen?
I think it's Ellen.
Oh,
Even though I'm kind of guilty of saying Elin.
I always say Elin. Ellen, sorry. Sorry if you're watching this, Ellen. I'm literally only like 10 pages in, so I have no thoughts so far. I honestly don't even know what it's about. I don't read the summaries before I read books sometimes, so I'm just going in blind. Hopefully it'll be a good one. Hopefully at least 4 stars. I feel like her books are like supposed to be good. I am officially getting started. You'll have to excuse my retainer. I'm officially starting The Ballad of Never After. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna read tonight, but I'm going to try and at least give you guys my first impressions and initial thoughts before I fall asleep. Okay, I'm starting to get to a point where I'm getting tired, so I only got 33 pages in. So far it's pretty much picking up right where the first book ended, and I have like no real thoughts on like a preemptive rating. I'm enjoying it. It's continuing pretty smoothly from the first book still, which I rated the first book 4 stars. So I will keep reading it and keep updating you guys as I go. Time for an update on my book. Just a reminder, I am reading The Ballad of Never After, and I am currently 67% of the way through the book.
I'm on page 236. I have a little over 100 pages to go. I am enjoying this book as much as I thought I would, but like I feel like after the first like initial little bit, I was like, maybe this is gonna be a 5-star read, but I have not really since been getting like a 5-star feeling. I feel like it still is like in the 4-star range. So I don't know if this is gonna be the final book for me for this video. I am enjoying it. Following Evangeline and Jax is the main male character. And they're kind of enemies, but they're also love interests, and there's a lot of tension between them. They act like they hate each other, but then they also like care about each other. So I don't really have much else to say. I have already I've created a list of like the next 7 books I'm planning on reading on my phone. The next one I'm thinking of reading after this, in hopes to like keep really focusing on getting a 5-star book, is Heartless by Elsie Silver. It's the 2nd book in the Chestnut Springs series, and I feel like it's the one that everyone says is their favorite. And I did really like that first one, and I think that it might be good for me to step away from the last like couple fantasy books I've been reading, because I feel like the more I read all at once, the more they kind of start to bleed together, which makes me not enjoy each individual book as much, which I think is maybe possibly what's happening with this a little bit too. So I am still enjoying it, but 5-star books are few and far between for me, so I just don't know if this is gonna make the cut. According to my Kindle, I have like 38 minutes left of my book. I'm gonna try and settle in and read the rest of it, and then I'll give my final thoughts. I have finished the book. There is a 3rd book in this series, so I'm sure I will eventually get around to it. But I am kind of surprised. Like, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars. I am kind of surprised that like so many people give this one 5 stars, because I don't know. I feel like we were like missing bits and pieces that I would have liked the story. Still not wrapped up very good, so obviously that's why I need to read the last book. My next book that I'll be reading is Heartless by Elsie Silver. I need a 5-star read. How many books in are we? I guess. I wanted to give you guys an update on my book so far. So right now, I think I'm 40% of the way through the book according to my Kindle. So essentially the premise of this book is that there is this woman. She has been married for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. I don't know how long their marriage has been. And they have 2 kids, and she gets a phone call saying that her husband died in a helicopter crash in the Virgin Islands on a work trip, and then she and her two grown sons have to travel down to the Virgin Islands to like get things figured out in terms of, you know, why was he down there? They didn't even know he was down there. They thought he was on a work trip, but like didn't know where he was at. And then they start to uncover different details about like a potential secret life that he had down in the Virgin Islands. As far as like, am I getting a 5-star feeling? No, not really. Maybe 4 stars, depending how the book continues, and if there's like a big twist or anything. I'm always down to be shocked, but those are my initial thoughts. Okay, I finished it. Definitely ending on a cliffhanger, and so far not the twist that I thought it was going to be. Potentially that twist is not a thing at all. But I feel like in book 2 it's like it's open-ended. Could still happen. I'm gonna give this one 4 stars. It was like a pretty good, just like overall, I was interested in all the characters and like their storylines they had going on the entire book. But it was also like one of those books where I was kind of like, what's the point of like the book? Is this a mystery? Is it a thriller? Like, what am I expecting? So now I have to decide what my book number 3 for this video is going to be. I wanted to do a check-in for the book that I'm reading, because I don't know if I have actually done that yet. I'm reading Heartless, which is the 2nd book in the Chestnut Springs series. I have read it for like the past 2 days. I read a little bit more this morning when I was on the treadmill. So I'm now at 36% of the way through the book. I'm on page like 160, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I feel like right now I'm kind of like, this could be like a 4.5. I don't know if it's a 5-star yet. I don't know if it will be, but we will find out. There's still plenty of the book to go. But I was telling Sierra this because she was asking me my thoughts on it earlier when we were at the gym. And I was just like, I find myself smirking a lot, which is always a good sign. Because I feel like that means like the characters have good banter and stuff like that. So, yeah, we will keep going. I feel like I could possibly finish it this weekend. I have 3.5 hours left in the book, so I feel like since we don't have a whole lot going on this weekend, it's possible I can finish it. I have 2 hours left in my book, so I'm going to settle in and try and read for the next little bit. Another book done. I just finished reading Heartless, and guys, this was a close one. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, but like there wasn't really any time when I was reading the book where I was like, this is getting 5 stars. So, I do think that out of the 2 books I've read in the Chestnut Springs series, this is, I like this one more than the first one. The first one I gave 4 stars. Alright, I wanted to talk to you guys, give my first thoughts on Vicious by B.E. Schwab. I'm actually surprisingly almost like halfway through it, even though I just started it a couple days ago. I just got to part 2 when I was at the gym this morning. I don't know that I even like gave you guys a summary of what the book is about, so I wanted to read the back of the book to give you an idea. Victor and Eli started out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognized the same sharpness and ambition in each other. In their senior year, a shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities, but when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. So I am really enjoying the book so far. It takes place in past and present timelines, and so there's 10 years ago when they're both in college trying to kind of like work on developing their own powers, and then the present timeline is taking place over a course of like the past couple of days. And so what I'm really liking about it is like there's so many questions that I have that I feel like I have to keep reading to get the answers. Like I know that Victor was in jail for like the past 10 years, but I don't know what he was in jail for. And so I'm trying to like figure out if that comes along in the past timeline, or like are they going to talk about it in the present timeline. And then like the stories like them trying to get powers and like seeing how that happens has been really interesting. And then like right now in the present timeline, Victor like wants to find Eli and like kill him, I think, and I don't know why. And so I just have so many questions, and I think B.E. Schwab is doing a really good job of like building up the suspense and like the intrigue and like making me want to read more quickly to figure out the answers to these questions. So I don't know, I'm thinking at least 4-star vibes right now. Could improve as I keep reading. Let's talk final thoughts. I really enjoy this book, but I didn't get that 5-star feeling. I do think I am going to give it 4.5 stars. Sorry if you can hear my dog eating. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like was constantly thinking about the book despite like not reading it. Sometimes I feel like it's easy for me to like set aside whatever book I'm reading and just like only come back to it and be in that world when I'm reading it. But this one I was like, just like I need to read more, and I just like was thinking about the characters and what was going on. I thought the ending was so clever and so satisfying, and I think that I'm going to read the second book at some point. I think that one's called Vengeful. Yes. So that being said, since this was not a 5-star read, I must continue and pick my next book. I think I'm going to do, I can't even remember the name of it. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Megan said it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm going to get on my Kindle and then read that one next. I believe it's romantasy, which I'm excited for. I feel like I am in the mood for it, which would loan itself potentially to it being a 5-star read if it really hits the spot. I've decided that next I'm going to read Magnolia Parks. So I'm nervous about this one because I feel like you either love it or you hate it. So it's very possible I could be going into reading a book where I'm like gonna give it a low rating, which is the opposite of this challenge, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay, so I started Magnolia Parks last night when I was going to bed, and I just read a little bit more. I'm only like 40 pages into it, but I wanted to share my initial thoughts since I haven't done that yet. So far, I feel like I'm just kind of getting into it. I have actually tried to read Magnolia Parks one time before, but I was at the gym and it was just because like I needed a new book and I had it on my Kindle, and like I only read like the first maybe 10 pages, and then I was like, I'm not interested in this right now, and then I never went back to it. So I will say, I don't know what is so different about Jessa Hastings' writing style. I think it's like the sentence structure. It's taken a little bit of getting used to for me to be able to like read it and like comprehend what's going on. Like, I guess like a good example, I need to like find a sentence. Okay, this is like kind of what I mean. BJ runs his tongue along his back molars, smiling. Sniffs a laugh, shakes his head. Like, that's the second sentence. So it's just like a little off-putting. I think as I was sitting on the couch reading it, because my initial thought when I was going to bed last night, I was like, this is kind of like interesting to read, just like sentence structure-wise. I think I'm getting more used to it, like going and reading it for like my second sitting. You can definitely tell these characters are like, we don't know a lot of what's going on, but BJ and Magnolia like have grown up together, and like they kind of feel like they're each other's like one true love, but then like something has happened where it's like they're still constantly like together and hanging out because they have like this friend group, and like he's like spending the night with her every single night and her family's cool with it, but like they're not actively like seeing each other, and that's because of like this thing that has happened where like she couldn't forgive him, which I don't know what that is yet, but that's kind of the premise of the book. So I kind of forgot we were still doing the video where we're trying to get through books until we get to a 5-star book, and I didn't do a lot of vlogging with this book because I feel like until I get to a 5-star book, like I'm not going to be doing like minute-long reviews and check-in points because then this video would take forever. I finished Magnolia Parks. I gave it a 3.75, and I even wrote like a whole little Goodreads review. It's very toxic. I knew that going into it, and like, to be honest, like when I was reading it, it was like really hard to like any of the characters, which is challenging for me because I feel like I need to like the characters. Like, I don't hate them, but you're just like, oh my god, why are they so stupid? All of them. All that being said, this was not a 5-star book, and I now have to read Winter in Paradise next because I told Maggie and Sierra I'd read that so we can all read the second book on vacation. So, that'll be my next read. I'm getting ready for bed, and I'm about to start my next book. So, for the video, it's a book Sierra's already read. She gave it a 4.5. This is by V.E. Schwab. Sierra's explained it to me a little bit, but I'm going to go in pretty blind, and we'll see what I think. We'll see if I enjoy it more than Sierra does, and whether or not it'll be a 5-star book. I might check in with you guys to give first impressions, but I feel like now we're kind of at the point where it's like, we're doing minimal check-ins unless like I'm really starting to get a feeling that I'm reading a 5-star book. So this is the next one. I feel like this is like my 6th book for this video. I need to give you guys an update on how I'm feeling about the Serpent and the Wings of Night. So I have to be honest, I don't know what was going on the last couple days. I was just like in, I don't know if I would call it a reading slump, but like just not wanting to pick up my book at all. So not kidding, it took me like 3 days to read the first 20 pages of this book. However, I just finished reading for like 45 minutes downstairs. Finally got to the point where we're in like the main part of the book. I believe that it's kind of reminding me of Powerless, honestly, which is good because I gave Powerless 4.5 stars. But there's this big trial-like event called the Kajari, I think is how it's pronounced, where it's like Hunger Games-esque. They have to like fight. There can only be one winner. And so they've just entered that, and I have now officially finally met who I believe to be the enemies to lovers love interest. So now I'm intrigued. I'm gonna keep reading a little bit more tonight. Right now I'm 14% of the way through the book, and I feel like now I'm in a good headspace, like I'm in a romantic-y mood, and now that I know who the love interest is, and that can hopefully start picking up soon, I'm excited, and I can't wait to read more. Okay, hello, I have much to catch you up on. I'm currently on vacation right now. Well, me and Maggie are on vacation. We are in the Virgin Islands, and I've been doing quite a bit of reading on this vacation, and I had planned to just like get back home and then do kind of like a recap, since I didn't think any of the books that I was reading were going to be 5 stars. But I'm reading a book that I'm getting ready to finish, and it might be 5 stars. So I'm going to give the recap now. I finished reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It's a fantasy romance. Gives me like Powerless vibes by Lauren Roberts, if you guys have read that. Kind of like a similar premise. I enjoyed it. Finished it on the plane ride here. Give it 4 stars. Then I read 2 books over the past couple days. One was Trevor Noah's memoir, Born a Crime. I didn't rate it because I feel like I've decided I'm someone who doesn't rate memoirs, I guess. Still very good. Very much enjoyed it. Would highly recommend. But I didn't rate it, so obviously had to keep reading. Then we had our book club book for vacation that we were reading. We read When in Paradise by Ellen Hilderbrand. It's the 2nd book in the Winter in Paradise series. Good, enjoyable, but just give it 4 stars. There was nothing super crazy or special. I am now currently reading The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I read 1 chapter last night, and then otherwise I've just been binging it all day today, and I have a half hour left in my book according to my Kindle. And I might be giving it 5 stars, so I have to finish it, and then we'll see. And this video might end for me, or it might not, I don't know. Okay guys, I have finished the book. I have good news. I'm giving it 5 stars. So, for me, this video is now over. Hopefully Megan will find a 5-star read here soon, but very much enjoyed it, which surprises me because I feel like based off of all the Goodreads reviews I've seen, this book has been kind of meh for a lot of people, but I thought there was like a lot of good twists and turns. I was trying to like guess what was gonna happen, and I felt like I was like, oh shoot, like I was wrong on that. That's not what I expected. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Man, oh man, you guys, I feel like it's been a little bit since I've caught you up with my books that I've been reading, and I'm still on the hunt for a 5-star book. I read Winter in Paradise by Ellen Hilderbrand. I read that as well as What Happens in Paradise, the 2nd book in that series. I rated those both 4 stars. Those were my first books that I've read by Ellen Hilderbrand. They were very nice, enjoyable. And then I read Vicious by V.E. Schwab's here. I also read that as one of her books in the series. I gave that one 4 stars as well. And then the most recent book that I read was The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and I gave that one 4 stars. It was good, but it wasn't, like at no point did I think it was going to be a 5-star read. So that leads me to now, the book I'm currently reading. I feel like we're going to have to put a cap on this video. Like there is a date that we are posting it, so I will keep including any and all books that I read between now and the date we're posting it, and hope that one is a 5-star read, but if not, then we might just have to call it good and say I tried my best. I got a 4.5 at least with Heartless. To be honest, after I'm reading, so let me start with what I'm reading right now. I'm reading Crooked Kingdom. It's the 2nd book in the Six of Crows duology, and it's quite a long book. I'm already like 25% of the way in. I am really enjoying it. I feel like I'm liking this one more than the first book, but I don't know if it's going to be 5 stars. Like I have to just wait and see. I have high hopes, honestly, for the next book I'm reading, and it's like such a short book, but given how much I loved Done and Dusted, I just have high hopes. I would like to read Swift and Silent by Lila Sage next, since it just came out, and it would be awesome if that one wanted to be a 5-star book. I kind of feel like something like that would maybe, like as much as I love the fantasy books I'm reading, I feel like it's almost easier for me to get like that 5-star feeling from contemporary romance, like as strange as that sounds. Because I agree, that sounds strange given how much I'm loving all of the like fantasy and romantasy books I'm reading. I have a half hour left in Crooked Kingdom, so my plan is to finish reading that, and then I'll give my final thoughts on the book. I just finished reading Crooked Kingdom, so my final thoughts on the book. I am kind of torn. Overall, like I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. When I had initially started reading it, I was getting the impression that I was really going to like this one more than the first one. I felt like the situation that they were dealing with in this book was like easier to follow and more interesting than what they were doing in the first book, and I already had like a lay of the land and the characters and their relationships and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling good going into this book. I feel like just as I read it, it was interesting and entertaining, but I just felt like you didn't get a whole lot of character development or a whole lot more of like the relationships between the characters, and it was still very plot focused with like the thing that they were doing. And I just wanted like a little bit more of like the characters, and you know, I was reading this series because I am trying to do more fantasy. I like having a romance subplot, so I thought that'd be a part of this. It wasn't really a big part of the first one, so I thought, okay, the second book, we're gonna have a little bit more of that. And there just still really was like little to nothing. Like, you know, the characters that like each other, but like they're still hardly together at all. So that was kind of disappointing. So yeah, that's my thoughts. The next book that I'm gonna read is supposed to be Swift and Saddled, which Sierra is busy reading right now. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to start that book today. Or yeah, it's probably going to be the last book I include in this video before just saying like I couldn't get a 5-star book in this video. Maybe it'll be the one. It is actually the night before this video is supposed to be edited and uploaded. I have about 70 pages left of Swift and Saddled, so I'm gonna sit here and finish reading the book so I can then finish editing the book video. I'm really enjoying the story, you guys. I am. It's just, I don't think it's gonna be a 5-star to finish off this video, so you'll just have to follow me on Goodreads if you want to see whatever my next 5-star book is, I guess. I just finished the book. It is indeed going to be a 4-star. So unfortunately, still on the lookout for a 5-star book. If you have any recs, let me know in the comments down below. But I guess that's how we'll be finishing this video. And I think are going to be doing a work week in our life next week or a basement video. So I know it's been a while with our vacation since we did a vlog, but I promise more will be coming. So if those are your videos, or if those are your favorite videos to watch, then they're coming. Otherwise, we will see you guys in our next video. Bye!